Welcome to White Belt Wednesdays. I'm your host, Travis, and today we'll be diving into the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with essential tips and tricks in bite-sized podcast episodes every Wednesday. Ready to level up your skills? Well, let's roll. All right, everyone. Let's talk about taking breaks in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of times, taking a break is one of the hardest things to do in our training, and it probably shouldn't be because there's a lot of benefits that come to taking a break in your training. First thing is going to be physical recovery. How many times have we been on the mats when we were feeling injured, or our body is feeling tired, or we didn't get enough sleep, or we've been going really hard in other endeavors in our life, and we just really want to make it to jiu-jitsu training? Allowing time for your body to recover from whether it's gym, jiu-jitsu, not getting enough sleep, babies. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that can hinder your ability to train, and you should really take that into consideration when it comes to taking a break in jiu-jitsu. If you are feeling tired, if you are feeling worn out, if you're feeling soreness, like sometimes when we do certain techniques in class, I might have to skip a day. If it's a lot of rear naked chokes or triangles or triangle defenses or stuff like that, a lot of the times I'll have to take maybe a day off here and there because my body is just so wrecked. And that's important because what's going to be more beneficial to me? Showing up for another triangle class where I'm trying to defend triangles the whole time, or another Darce class, or some kind of, usually it's when my neck is getting cranked on, and I'm just sitting there and I can't even let someone put a submission on me because my neck is so beat up. Now, is that going to be beneficial, or is it going to be more beneficial to take a day off, drink some water, have some electrolytes, maybe use an iron neck or something like that? But these things are important to listen to when it comes to your body. Also, one of the important things too is it prevents burnout and reduces your risk of injury. If you are training consistently for, I don't know, a lot of people train 4 or 5 times a week, and I applaud you for that. And honestly, taking a break is probably more important to you guys than people like me who train 2-3 times a week, maybe. You know, if we're constantly on the grind, constantly on the go. Now, this also depends on your goals. Don't forget that. If you're constantly on the grind, constantly on the goal, then it's going to be harder sometimes to take a break. It's going to be harder sometimes to think that it's a good thing to do it. But if you are feeling like you are losing the drive to train, you're losing your motivation, your discipline, like I said in the last time, whatever word you want to use from a Jocko podcast, then taking a break might be a good thing. Also, if for the older practitioners out there, sometimes you're not like you were in your 20s or even your 30s or even your 40s, and reducing your risk of injury is important. I know that some of the people that listen to the podcast, they are musicians, they have high level visible jobs to where they can't come in and have a blown ACL, they can't come in having black eyes, bruised lips, whatever it is, because of who they are, and they are someone important, or they're a musician, right? Or they are the CEO, or they are the face of a company. So sometimes it might be good for them to take a break from jiu-jitsu because they can't risk having an injury during, let's say, a tour and that they're about to go on for their music career. That's very important for them to think about also. One thing it also does is like a mental replenishment. Taking a break from the grind can really reset you mentally and allow you to think about your goals and allow you to think about jiu-jitsu in a different way. I always talk about how you should do things like watch instructionals, Jordan Pressinger's theory course, Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu theory course, things that aren't actually doing jiu-jitsu but are jiu-jitsu enough to where you're staying within the sport, but you're not physically putting your body through it, if that makes sense. So that can also give you a mental, refreshment, because you could watch these instructionals, you could watch these online courses, and then you're like, man, I'm ready to get back to training. Now I want to try these things. Now I want to really push and get back on the mats and try for my blue belt or try for my purple belt or try to win that first competition. And that's all because you took a step back, reevaluated everything, let your body reset, let your brain reset, and it gives you a good headspace to keep going on. I always talk about how sometimes I have to take a break from jiu-jitsu because of family, because of my body, because of work. And a lot of the times after I miss a class or two, I am so amped up to get back to class, and I stay within that jiu-jitsu mindset while I'm not training, that when I get back, I don't have to, there's not too much dust to get off the wheels, or rust to get off the wheels. I don't know what the saying is, but something like that, right? So I feel like it's a lot more beneficial for me to take that one or two classes off because of family or whatever it is, and allowing myself the grace to know that I will be okay when I come back on the mats, and then pushing through that and keep going. Now, one of the downsides of taking breaks, though, is you could feel like depending on how long your break is a potential downside is skill regression during breaks, which is perfectly normal. And if you are coming back from a long break of jiu-jitsu, then, it could be hard sometimes because you don't remember how to distribute weight, or you don't remember how you're supposed to lock in your hands or lock in the submission or pass a guard, or, these small details that we learn when we're consistent. They can be pushed to the wayside because you haven't been practicing. And that, once again, that's okay. You shouldn't be so hard on yourself to the point to where you think that, oh man, I absolutely suck now because I missed 2 weeks, or I missed a month because of an injury. Now I don't even know why I should go back. My skill is going to be so much worse. But that's okay. Don't think about that. If you are taking a longer break, and you're taking a longer break because sometimes we get injured, sometimes we have family events, we have work trips, then like I said before, use that time to stay within your jiu-jitsu love by watching other content. Watch YouTube videos, follow people on Instagram, listen to a podcast. Maybe it's Elbows Tight Podcast. So just keep that in mind. It's okay to take breaks. It's not bad. And one thing that also messes me up when I take a break is it's kind of like a disruption in my routine, which could really throw a lot of people off. When I would work swings, it would be, or when I would work day shift, it would be, I would get off work, I'd go home Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'd watch the kids, wait for my wife to go do her thing, get the kids ready for the night or whatever, and then I'd be off and going for class. And now it's like I wake up and I go to class around 10:30 in the morning. And once you start getting in the routine of things, you're like flowing, you're like, yeah, this is great. And then you have to take a break, and it just feels like you're just stopped in your tracks, and you can't get back in the groove of things. And that's okay. Something you can do to kind of minimize that disruption and ease back into training is make it a priority to tell your significant other, if that is one of the reasons, right? Because sometimes as fathers or husbands, wives, parents, we have to put our training to the side to help our significant other with whatever they need help with, or our kids. And one thing that I've really started to do was I made it a priority to tell my wife that making it a training is a priority to me, and it's a priority for me to make it back on the mats as soon as possible, whenever I can. And that lets her know that if she sees an opportunity where I can go train, she's going to let me know, like, hey, on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, I have a break. I can watch the kids for a little bit, X, Y, and Z. You can go to training. And then it's a priority to both of us, and it shows that mutual respect for each other to let me go train. And I think that's super important, because a lot of people that listen to this are married or in their 30s or 40s, and they are parents or they have other responsibilities. And just think about that next time you go training or next time you have to take a break. And the last little thing I want to talk about is when to take a break and when to kind of push through, because like I tell people in CrossFit, there's a difference between pain and discomfort. And you should always stop for pain, but most of the time you should push through discomfort. And that's the most important thing, is understanding your body enough and the physical signs to know when you are just having a dip and when you're actually about to be injured or you are injured. Because pushing through the dip, pushing through the tough times can be beneficial as long as you do it smartly. Now, when your body's beaten and broken, that is when you should take a break. You shouldn't push through pain or push through hardship to the point to where on the other side of it, you're going to be worse off than you would have been if you just took the break, if that makes sense. And once again, that kind of actually comes back to your goals, because if your goal is to be a world champ, then you should probably listen to your coach or your body and say, hey, is this beneficial for me to keep going right now? And that kind of ties into the next thing, is you should listen to your body and your goals. So, like I said, if you're trying to be a world champ, if you're trying to win a competition, if you're trying to do something that it requires you to show up to training, even when you probably might want to take a break, then you should do that. And showing up to training doesn't always mean physically training. Showing up to training could be you sit on the sidelines and watch your class and learn by taking notes or video in it so you could practice it later or something like that. And setting short and long-term goals and allowing yourself to take those breaks in moments where it wouldn't impede on those, if they're that important to you, is super, super smart. But yeah, so, and all in all, remember, body, know what your goals are. There are pros and cons for stopping and starting. If you do happen to take a longer break, the best way to get back into jiu-jitsu is by just showing up again. Maybe go to 1 class, 2 class a week, and then watch class if you need to. Do what you got to do in order to listen to your body. But the best way to get back into training is just to show up and train. Taking a break is okay. Don't worry about it. You guys will be all good. So thank you guys so much for listening. That's all I got for this one. Breaks are okay. All right. Don't look at them negatively. Peace. Thank you for listening to this episode of White Belt Wednesday. If you have any questions or comments, please message me on social media, and maybe they can even become a future episode. Don't forget to check out the Patreon for early and exclusive content. Links for everything are in the show notes.